Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ask an Action Coach. So last week we talked about the importance of difficult or honest conversations. And this week we want to continue with that thought. But Jackie, I love what you said about let's give people some empowering things to do when it comes to starting those conversations or asking for them. So what
Right.
do you
I mean,
got?
yeah. So step number one, right, is really understanding whose responsibility is to make the first move,
Mm,
to ask for time together to discuss what is on somebody's mind. So who the person who's responsible for making that first move or for reaching out to have that conversation is the person whose feelings were hurt, who made, who was angry. It's the responsibility of the person who was either offended or who felt there was a misunderstanding or something like that. If we wait around, as we both know, right, you wait around for someone to apologize, more than likely they have no idea that they did anything wrong, so that apology will never ever come.
mm.
So part of, and I'm sure most people don't want to hear this, but really if your feelings are hurt or you're angry or offended or something like that, it is really your responsibility to make that first move,
Mm.
right? And secondly, it's also your responsibility to own your feelings, right? And to take responsibility for your feelings.
Okay.
Because part of the great Bruce Wilson from Quality Mind, he says, everything is neutral until we give it meaning.
Mm.
And if we're giving something meaning and we're not keeping it neutral, that tells me there's some of our own feelings associated with it. And that's another indication that it's up to us to make sure that we start that conversation. But it's also up to us to say, is this a real feeling? I mean, this is, of course they feel real, but is in terms of, am I interpreting what that person has said and made it about something bad about me? Or did they really offend me? Or did they really say something bad? Or did they really hurt my feelings or something like that, make me angry? Is that real? That's the next step, is to take a moment, take a breath and go, did they really mean that, do you think? Or was it that's the way I interpreted it? So
Sure.
that's number two. And
Sure.
number three, it's really how do you start that conversation? And you and I were talking before we started recording today, and you have a great example of what that looks like. And I loved how you handled that. So would you be willing to share with everybody?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. But something I just learned about that was from what you said about, everything is neutral until we give it an
Meeting?
emotion or until we make it not neutral, positive or negative. And I think I was a little bit feeling, well, I'll just tell you what happened and you can tell me if I'm right. So we were in a meeting and somebody said something and I thought, oh, that really bothers me. And instead of getting really emotional about it right away, I thought, I got to let him know that really bothered me. And because I bet he has no idea. And so after the meeting was over, I sent him a personal email that said, something you said made me feel a little bit emotional. And I was wondering if we could have a call to just talk about it. And
Great.
at first I thought maybe I should have been a little more specific because he emailed back and he was mortified. He was like, oh my Lord, what did I do? I'm so sorry. Yes, let's talk. Let's talk right away. So, and then we talked and we did what we call the whiffle first thing because we're both action coach people. And kind of the whiffle was all it took to get over it for both of
Right.
us. Yeah.
And the wiffle, just for your benefit, is what I feel like expressing. So what I feel like expressing is the person says whatever it is, and the other person or other people listen.
Yep.
And then the other person then gets an opportunity to say what I feel like expressing is. And you were able, so this is great. You were able to express whatever it is.
Yep.
The other person was able to express whatever it was, and the conversation was done. It was easy and probably never happened again.
Exactly. And we're closer because of it.
and closer because of it, because it was honest. And people like honesty, even if it makes a person uncomfortable, because that's how we get better. And I loved how you started that conversation. And it was all about, for one, taking responsibility for how you were feeling. And number two, it wasn't like you did this and you did that, and you did that. It was, here's how I'm feeling based on what happened at the meeting. I'd like to have a conversation about it. Very neutral, very, you know,
I thought it was
whatever.
neutral, but it's funny because then I assigned this feeling bad for not
Yes.
expressing enough, and he emailed back and was like, oh, what did I do? I'm so sorry, whatever it was.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah,
So part of the lessons here are making sure that if you are the one who's offended, who's hurt, who's angry, take a moment to stop and think, am I, did what that person did really, was it really bad, or
mhm,
was it the way I interpreted it?
yeah.
Number one. Number two, making sure that you take responsibility for how you address that person, so that you're not putting them on the defensive. Like, why did you do that? Why is one of those defensive words, right? So not putting that person, but owning your own feelings. Again, we're going back to above the point of power, where you get to choose to take ownership for your own feelings or your own emotions, taking accountability and being the one make the first move, and taking responsibility for having that conversation, right?
Right.
So if you can start a conversation that way, I think that eventually you will clear the air, and you will find out that that person didn't even, there was either something else going on, or that person didn't even mean it the way it was taken. And remember, again, the great Bruce Wilson, everything is neutral until we give it meaning.
I love that. I love that you learn about these things so that you can coach folks that you work with through these things that happen in their lives and in their businesses. And if you're out there and this is striking a chord with you, like I bet it is, it's a reason to have a good conversation with a coach like Jackie. So we can make that happen for you. All you got to do is click on the link associated with this video, and we'll set you up with Jackie Zach. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Sure, thank you.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.